take a look at the stage. When you hear my voice, who do you picture? When you hear my voice, what do you imagine? Who do you see? I'm not invisible. And neither is that phone. So I don't have anything scripted. I don't have anything written. So I hope that you guys allow me just to talk to you tonight. Unscripted, have a conversation, and just kind of keep it real. That's what I do. I just keep it real. So it really is about my story. And I think as I hear some of the other speakers speak, I'm hearing some of the same stories from other people. You're saying and going through some of the same experiences that I have as well. The wonder and magic of science. Wanted to be a scientist. Telling you you can't be or do something. Wow, other people are actually experiencing the same thing. And in tonight's talk, perspectives in action. I'm hearing other people have similar perspectives and how they took action on them. So tonight I'm going to regale you with a tale of wonder and magic and mystery that is wrapped up in my story. My story really, it starts with Ming asking me to do a TED Talk. What's the topic? So we have this conversation. Perspectives in action. So what is perspectives in action? Let's talk about what that is. What do you mean, perspectives in action? How do I talk about that, and what do you mean? And we kind of had a really, really nice talk about what that means and how I could pursue that as a topic, a conversation. Still trying to figure it out. And then we had a talk about a movie. Some of you may have heard of this movie, and this was the enlightenment moment. This is what I'm going to talk about. This tells my story. And then it leads me to where I'm going to lead you. Finding Forrester. Damon, you should really, really watch this movie. Have you seen it? It's an amazing movie. Finding Forrester. This movie really reflects what we do. Mentoring youth, inspiring kids to become more than they already are, more than they can be. They can follow their dreams and become anything they want. It's an amazing movie. And he tells me about it. Haven't seen the movie, but he tells me about it. Ming has an amazing perspective on that movie. And I say, Ming, I like it. I like the story that you're telling me about that movie, and I've seen it before. That is what we do. It's impressive. The story of a young black youth in the streets, having a hard life, and he comes across an older man who lives in a house, and he decides to rob that man. He's going to go in his house, he's going to steal some stuff. But in that act of stealing, he leaves his backpack. So now the older man opens that backpack to find out more about that kid. He's violated my personal space. He knows something about me by being in my environment. And now I'm going to open up his backpack and learn something about him. This kid is amazing. He's a brilliant writer. No one knows but this strange man who goes through his backpack. So the story goes on, and they get to know more about each other, and the man, in essence, helps him unlock his potential and who he is. Great. But I've seen that type of movie before. Let me tell you my perspective. why is it that we usually find this picture painted of black youth and black Americans, thugs, killers, robbers, and the people that have to save us are white America? Why are these movies always told? I've seen it in Sandra Bullock's movie. She saved a young man. We're always being saved. And why? Why are we always being saved? And why is it that we're always being underclassed? Why? I don't think I've ever heard of or seen a movie where an upper middle class black family has found this young white kid in the streets. He's on the wrong side of the tracks and he needs help. We gotta save him. The Huxtable family never came, and that type of family to rescue a young white youth on the wrong side of the tracks. Those perspectives aren't being told. I'm sure it happens, definitely sure it happens, but those aren't the stories that are being told. And that was that moment where Ming sat back and was like, I never saw it that way. I never saw it that way. So I'm hoping that some of the stories that I tell you tonight about myself inspire you to think about other stories that you hear, the people who are sitting next to you. The perspectives that you may have may be different than the perspectives of the people around you. So I'm young. I have a real similar story, 6th grade, because now that conversation about that movie gave me a topic. And I have a teacher as I'm in 6th grade walking down the hallway in class, and the teacher, I don't even remember how this conversation or topic even came up. I'm going to the bathroom, I'm headed back to class, I have a hall pass. Hall pass was a big wooden thing. And I guess she's asking me, where am I going, where am I coming from, something along those lines. Headed back to class, I went to the bathroom, and we had a few more words, and then somewhere in that conversation, you'll never be a doctor. You'll never be a doctor. Well, it was weird because I didn't want to be a doctor. That's not what I ever wanted to be. But why did I have that kind of interaction and engagement from this teacher, and other stories like that happening to me throughout my life? So I have these two perspectives. Growing up, my family is telling me stories about how I need to carry myself and how I need to be as a young black man in white America. I'm from Ohio. Growing up in the 70s in Ohio was different. Growing up black in the 70s in Ohio was different. So I kind of had this perspective that was painted to me about the important people in my neighborhood and in my community. Doctors, white, teachers, white, everyone important, white, bus driver, principal, everyone around me. No one like myself was doing anything critically important or holding big positions or owning companies or businesses in my neighborhood that I knew. But they were my influences. But sometimes they didn't see me. Then I have this whole other side. This is kind of where it gets into, who are you, Damon? I don't see you. You're invisible. I grew up in a community where all of a sudden when I'm going to school and I come home, I'm on the bus ride, the dark-skinned black people have a perspective about me. So now I'm kind of stuck in this middle place. Where do I go with that? Where do I go with that? And how would you think something like this would make me feel, where in my neighborhood, I'm a certain way, and when I'm in school and I'm in the community and I'm going to church and these other places, I'm caught in this dichotomy of being in the middle, being invisible. you can see me. For some reason, and I don't know what it is about me and this story that I'm going to tell about myself, a story of success, a story of triumph, and a story of moving forward and chasing my dreams. Those things didn't bother me. They didn't bother me, but they should have, especially coming from where I came from. So, in the 6th grade, when this teacher told me I can't be a doctor and I didn't really want to be one in the first place, another opportunity was given to me. And this other opportunity is where it's going to lead me to the end, where I'm going to hopefully have you have a perspective. Another teacher says, hey, we have the school assembly, and we want you to MC it. I was given an opportunity. So at this time, I didn't really know what it was. It was the 70s. And actually, I think the teacher wrote my rhymes. I was getting ready to rap for the first time. She wrote my rhymes. I had a microphone, and I led the assembly. Music broke barriers. I got on the microphone, and all of a sudden, people noticed me. I had a voice. I want you to try something with me. Because this is what it was like for a 6th grader to command the crowd, and it was pretty amazing. Say hey. Hey. Say ho. Ho. You don't stop. You don't stop. That was the power that I had. I was no longer invisible. I was no longer invisible. I had a voice, and people were listening to that voice. And music was the key. It was a whole different perspective. I didn't know what rap was at the time. It was like late 70s. I knew poetry, I knew rhyming, I knew what that was, but now music unlocked something in me to do and become more. I had this voice, I would practice in my voice. I was a wordsmith. I became a speaker. Now I became known as something else in my neighborhood because rhyming and then breakdancing and hip hop and music, it became an influence on me. It became an influence on the people around me. It became an influence on the people around me. So what can I do with music? It brought me travels, new connections, opened up perspectives. I was one of the few people in my community to have and to be opened up to many different perspectives because so many people from my city had never even left the city, had never left the neighborhood. Music allowed me to travel. It allowed me to see people of different diversities that I had never even, coming from Cincinnati, Ohio, I had never even seen before. I remember the first time we took a trip. This is years later, and now we have a rap group, and we're touring and we're doing things. And one of the first times, I went out of town and I saw someone who was in Cincinnati. Everyone's black, everyone's white, a whole new perspective. Mexican people, Asian people, diversity. Wait a minute, so my city is like this, but I see it on the news and I see it in movies and TV, but wow, when I go to a real city and see this diversity and people are engaging and getting along and it's broader, I've got more to explore. But my people back home don't have that perspective. My people at home don't have that perspective. Fast forward many, many years, and I follow my pursuit of science and technology. It's what I do now. All my life I've been able to draw. I remember the first thing I drew, a star. Then I remember I drew a zebra. Not just any zebra, but a zebra that His neck was, he was actually eating grass. The first two things that I drew that were actually pretty decently good. Could always draw. Even when I had this rap group, I designed album covers and logos for our group, other rap groups. Always an artist, always a designer. Then this thing called the internet happens. How can I get what I do from a design perspective on this internet thing? How can I get my designs online? So I started pursuing, in a way that I never thought I would, learning how to code, learning how to design online. And now, years later, I'm teaching that same thing to others. I'm inspiring others to do that same thing. And the success that we're having in the business that we have goes all the way back to this memory I have of someone telling me I can't do something, can't be something, and then a whole nother perspective of someone else saying, here's an opportunity for you. Grab the mic. We make learning fun. Inspire people to learn and want to learn through music. Music is a big part of what we do to inspire kids to learn. It taps into their core. It taps into their memories. As they're learning and music is playing, especially if it's a song that they know, the images that they see as they're learning along the way helps them to retain what they've learned. But it also creates memories. When you hear your favorite songs or songs from a special time, it brings back those memories of those special times. Those special times are now, oh, I remember when we were at this event and I learned this or that. Oh, that was fun. And students keep coming back to learn voluntarily because it's fun. But before we got there, I know we started teaching a few years back, and I remember hearing one student say to me, as we were teaching the very basics of learning how to code. You don't need to be a mathematician or a scientist to learn the basics of learning how to code for the front end of a website. Making a website just kind of have a simple look and feel. I can teach you the very basics and you can build from there. I can't do that. I can't do that, Mr. T. All these other students are doing it. Look at this student over here. Oh, they're white. They can do it. They're smart. I'm not smart like them. I can't do it. Whoa. 1970s, the 2000s, students still feel this way about themselves. It was a blow to my mind. I never even thought that that would be a thing that would come out of one of my students' mouths. That was one of the things that inspired us to start what we do in educating minority youth in science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Bringing it full circle. Bringing it full circle. And since I've come to this community, Fresno, California, there's been a lot of giving here. A lot of opportunities, a lot of people opening up their hearts. This is a wonderful city of diversity that has been given back, that has been giving to us, allowing me easily to want to give back. Easily to want to give back. And there's a need. There's definitely a need. So the perspective that I have is that there are still students out here who have and need help. There's still a digital diversity divide. There's a gap in the amount of minority students and women in technology. Who's going after them? Who's trying to reach them? And then once we get them, how do we retain them? How do we inspire them to say, you can do this? Through music, through fun, through a different perspective. and to have those examples of someone who looks like them. I did it. I thought the same thoughts that you're thinking right now. You will overcome them. You can overcome them. I believe in you. You're in a place where a bunch of other students just like you, we believe in these students. You're going to start to establish relationships. You're going to grow, and we're here to support you. We started an amazing nonprofit. One of our students is sitting in the back, Matthew. That started with 4 students. All they wanted to do was come on a Friday night and learn. Every single Friday night. We lost our Friday nights. We weren't going out anymore and doing whatever we wanted to do on Friday nights. But these students were hungry right after school from 5 to 7 p.m. We want to learn. And they wanted to learn technology and code and design, all these things. And we realized if these 4 students wanted to do it, there's got to be more that are willing to give up, teenagers willing to give up their Friday night. There's got to be more. We grew. Now we have over 170 students. We're teaching at after-school programs and doing a lot more education across the city. And we are in demand, and students keep coming back. Students keep coming back. Matter of fact, we actually extended an extra hour. So now we're educating and mentoring and teaching in STEM and STEAM from 5 to 8 p.m. We cut back to every second and fourth Friday so that we could do some other things with our Friday evenings. But students are hungry. They see that there is someone in the community that is here to help. And it all started with a microphone, music, and a perspective in music, hip-hop, technology, and education, and giving back. So the thing that I really want to leave you all with tonight, the perspectives that you have, looking at the person next to you, around you, and in your communities, may have the same perspectives as you. They may have something to share. They may have some of the same stories to share. Be willing to listen, help, inspire, and motivate. And that's where I'll leave you tonight. Thank you for your words, your time, for letting me speak my words to you.